Hi guys, welcome back chess lovers. So in today's video, we are going to deep dive into Scandinavian defense and we will see that this opening is really a challenging option against white, or white can actually play a fruitful game against this Scandinavian defense. This video will be divided into two parts. We are going to see today first knight f6 and queen d8 and queen d6 variation. Next video we are going to see the main queen f5 variation and with a model game analysis. So without wasting any time, let's jump into it. So is it really one of the best defense out there, or it is just a surprise weapon that fades under pressure? We'll be checking the answer. So Scandinavian defense is a very popular choice on club level. Black aims for a safe pawn structure and we know it starts with e4 d5. Black immediately starts attacking white center with his pawn, but basically after taking black queen, if it captures, it basically get exposed to the center and white tries to hit the queen by playing knight c3. So we all know that in opening principle we should not expose our queen too early, but it is violating that principle. But many games or many practice games we have seen that black actually gained lots of initiatives because black's development is pretty easy. But today we are going to see how white can actually overcome that pressure and actually how white can play for the initiative, and we'll be looking at some new good ideas. So let's jump into it. First we are going to look at the main things. After e4 d5, white will obviously take on into d5. So we'll be checking from the white side, and white's best attempt is to take that pawn and immediately inviting the black queen on the center. Now black has multiple options available, which is knight to f6, then queen d5. Those are the two main moves. And after knight c3, now here black is having three main options. Queen a5 is the main line, which is renowned for the longest time. But apart from that, there is a surprising queen d8, and there is also a subtle queen d8 line, queen d6 and queen d8 line. So now today we are going to see knight f6 line and queen d6 and queen d8. So those are the three things we are going to check in this first part of video, and second part we are going to see queen a5 line. So without wasting any time, let's go into the first thing first, and we'll be checking that how black can obtain, cut this thing for 10 seconds. So now we are going to see how white will take some initiative here. Okay, so white starts the game with e4 d5 ed5, and first we are going to see today now knight f6 variation. Black plays knight f6. Now the main attempt is that if white tries to hang on with the pawn with c4, then black can play e6 or c6 with good counterplay, and black has a rapid development. We are not going to check that. We will not give black good play because with white we are going to look for initiatives. We are not going to do that. So first thing first, we are going to play here correct move knight f3. We don't care about this pawn. We immediately develops our knight on f3, and we are inviting black to take here. So now black is having few options. One is knight d5, one is bishop to g4. Okay, knight d5 leads to d4, and it leads to quite calm game. Bishop g4, I'm just going to show you one sample line, and white is very comfortable here. Bishop a2, e6, short castle, bishop e7. White game plays, position plays automatically. Bishop h5 and knight d5, bishop e2, queen a2. And if you see, white is planning with c4, rook to d1, knight c3, bishop f4. White position plays itself. Even later on rook to c1. We'll try to, maybe someday we'll try to go with d5 with the center thrust. If not possible, maybe this knight can jump to e4. We'll look for some kingside attack. Definitely it's possible f4, f5. Multiple options are available. It depends on how black is going to develop. And clearly we can see white is having a very good stable position where pieces are very much active. So we'll be checking at what is the best attempt for black. Black is trying to hang on with this pawn. After knight f3, bishop to g4. This is main try. And now here bishop b5. This check works very well here. An important note in disruptive check which forces the black to play either knight b d7, either goes back to bishop d7. We don't care whatever it happened. So knight b d7, h3. Now the problem is black has to take some decision with this thing. So black maintains the pin with bishop h5. If black plays a6, we'll be simply taking here, and this is not going to be good for black. So that's not a good thing. We are looking for knight d5, knight c3, knight c3, dc3, c6, and bishop f4. White is having a very good development. White might go with short castle, rook to d1, and black is still underdeveloped. And white also grabs space in the center. And this double pawn actually works very well, controlling two important critical square. White rooks will be beautifully placed on the d file. After obviously we'll be playing a3 so that rook cannot take on a2. But white works this position is very well. Even g5, g6 later on we have some ideas. So black maintains the pin. That's the main move. Knight to c3. White is trying to hang on with this pawn because now the d file is blocked and we can really protect this pawn. Knight b6. Sorry, a6. Bishop a2. Knight b6. Now black is ready to grab this pawn with lots of pieces are attacking. So we'll not be looking to save this pawn, but we'll focus on our piece development. d4, knight d5, knight d5. Now knight d5 leads to c4 and queen b3. We are threatening already c5, bishop f4, short castle. So white is having a very stable advantage, and I would say very stable game. This b7 pawn would be hanging even after c5. So black plays queen d5. So keep a grip on the square, c4 and e4. And now white has done castling, e6. Long castling is not a good thing because c3 and b4, a4, a5, just pawn storms are coming on the queen side, which is definitely not good for black. So e6, so black is also looking for short castle ideas, b3, and this is the simplest option. We are not going to develop our bishop from this diagonal, but we are going to develop it from the fianchetto because it also blocks this c4 square and ready to play for c4, where white will maintain a very strong center. And even after bishop e7, c4, queen d8, bishop f4, and white's game is very simple. Queen d2, rook a d1, rook e1, knight e5, and white position plays itself that white is having a very pleasant game. So he doesn't have to worry about much. Black is having little bit less space, so black has to find little bit correct moves here. So this is all about the knight f6 line, second line, and white is having multiple ideas. You can just pause the video and check all the ideas. You can rewind the video and check the ideas. Now we are going to see the next video. Okay, next variation. Sorry, next line we are going to see after e4, d5, ed, queen d, knight c. Now queen d6. So it's a very surprising life. Or black is saying, okay, I am not inviting my queen back to d8, but I am keeping it here. Black is having multiple options, that g6, bishop g7, even bishop f5, c6 option is also there. But white's game should be more direct, and knight f6, bishop g7, short castle, bishop, knight f6, bishop g7. So those are some ideas. But what we are going to see here is very important. White must know what we are going to do. White will try to expose this queen on d6. Okay, we will be checking how. So white will play d4 immediately. White's game is very direct. We will be looking for very simple development. Knight f3, g3, g6, bishop f4, short castle. That is white's simple plan. Now black is having multiple options here. Either g6 black can do, black can play c6, black can play knight f6. We'll be checking one by one. g6 is more like to get transpose. White is immediately hitting the queen with knight b5, queen b6, knight f3, knight f6, bishop g7, doesn't matter. knight a3 with the idea of knight c4, and the game continues here. The plan is, even we'll be checking it whenever we'll see the knight f6 main line here in this game. c6 is again knight f3, bishop comes to g4, it's not a good way, h3, bishop h5, you cannot take here. First of all, white will get very tremendous space advantage with this bishop e3, rook d1 is coming, fantastic compensation for this pawn, and white is having a very good game. I won't mind to give up this pawn anymore. So c6, knight f3, and bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, g4, white is grabbing space, bishop g6, h4, and white is saying that okay, I am going to extend my pawns, try to attack white, because try to attack black, and because black is completely underdeveloped on the king side, and this bishop position is not looking good, and bishop f4 is coming. White is having a very dangerous initiative. I would say that black has to be very careful to not to lose in this position and not to go down it. So the main line starts with knight f6 here. We'll be checking knight f3, a6 stops knight b5 ideas, g3, and this allows us bishop g2, bishop f4, which we really want to look for because the queen is on d6. We really want to play bishop f4 and hit that pawn. So bishop to g4, h3, immediately targeting that pawn, bishop f3 again, you cannot take here. We'll be checking again bishop e3, rook d1, and the queen will be misplaced on d4 completely. So bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, and now very important move, bishop g2, c6, bishop f4. As I mentioned already, white's development is very simple. White is going to play bishop g2, white is going to play bishop f4, white is going to play short castle, and even g4, even if it is placed, white is having a fantastic position, very pleasant game, good space advantage I would say. And after queen d8, g4, white is breaking the pin. Now bishop g6, and the key idea we have already seen, whenever bishop will go to g6, we will hit the bishop with knight e5, we will land our knight on e5. It's a very good square for the knight. Knight b d7, queen e2, and white is very flexible here. White is actually saying, I'm not committing my king on short castling, but I'm actually looking to long castle, and because black's king is still on the center, I'm really looking to grab the space, really looking to attack from the center file. Maybe this rook will come to e1, we'll try to look something on the e5. So that's all about the queen d6 line. Now we'll be checking the queen d8 line, which is not very popular, but let's look at it. Yeah, here we are going to see after queen d6. Okay, so one more queen d6 line, forget to check, which is knight f3, and if black fianchet to the bishops with g6 now. So white's game is very direct. Whenever black will try to go with g6 and bishop g7 plan, white will immediately try to expose black's queen on d6. So white plays knight b5, queen b6, and now knight to a3. I'm ready to again hit the queen from the c4 square. Black plays c6 because black has to keep a vacant square for the queen. Now if you play bishop g7, then knight c4, queen c6, knight c5, queen d6, and bishop to c4, castle. White is having a very pleasant game, I would say. Bishop f4 is coming, c3, rook e1. Position is very pleasant for white. So c6, black is ready to bring back the queen. Knight c4, queen c7, knight e5, and we'll try to maintain this strong hold with one knight. We are gripping on the e5 square. That's one of the main key ideas in this line. White will try to maintain his stronghold on the e5 square. Now let's see how black is going to develop. Black has the development plan of bishop g7. Black has to play. Now bishop to c4. We are hitting this pawn. Black has to do castling. And now white will do castle. After that, now black has to think that how black is going to develop his pieces. Bishop f5, knight d7, or directly knight to d7. Okay. So if directly goes bishop to f5, then this bishop can be hit by the knight h4 ideas, or even maybe knight g5 is just I believe it's making a annoying pin. Even g4 is coming, so it's not a good thing for black. So knight b d7 immediately asking question for this knight on e5. Will be taking here, playing rook to e1, knight e5, knight e5, and white has again, as I mentioned, c3, bishop f4, queen e2, rook d1. Very simple, very calm game, pleasant position. Black has to think little bit how he is going to develop the pieces. Even if he is going to develop the pieces with bishop f5, e6, still white is maintaining this strong knight on e5, and till the moment the strong knight will be on e5, white can even look for the future attack with g4, f4, f5, king to h1 later on. So lots of attacks are there. Even if not possible, white is having another positional idea to grab some space into the a5, a4, a5. This idea is also there. So white's game is very flexible. White can play on the both wings, either on the center, either on the queen side, even later on the king side, depending on the position. Even white is having another idea, bishop f4, queen d2, and try to exchange this bishop with this dark square bishop. And then there is a very nice rook swing ideas whenever we will exchange this bishop and try to hit the weakness on this king side. So this is one of the plan, and this is all about again queen to d6 line, another g6 idea, and bishop g5, bishop g6 plan. Now if we look at it, the next part is that another queen d6. So after knight f6, again knight f3, c6. What happens if black plays c6 option? We'll be going with knight to e5, knight b d7, knight to c4, immediately asking question for the queen. Queen has to go back. Queen f3 is a very nice idea that we are ready to play bishop f4 and hitting the queen. Again, the main point, black has developed the queen early, so white is trying to expose the unrealistic position of this queen by taking multiple tempi. That is the plan. So knight b6, bishop f4, queen d8. Again we are hitting this bishop e5. That's a very strong position for the bishop. From here the bishop is actually defending the d4 pawn. We are ready to play long castle, even we are ready to play short castle, depends on the position. Black plays bishop e6, targeting this knight. We'll be playing knight e3. We are not interested in the exchange. Very important thing to remember, whenever you have space advantage and your opponent's pieces are not well placed, we should not exchange pieces, because it releases the tension of your opponent's pieces. So bishop to e2, bishop g7, short castle, rook d1, and again that's what I said, that white position is very comfortable to play. Knight d7, bishop g3, queen b6, rook b1, and even we have multiple options available. We can play b4, a4, b5, even d5, because white is having a very strong control on the d5 square. So that's the main key plan. Black will also try to do maybe rook e8, rook d8 and try to, but black's pieces are very awkwardly placed. White pieces are very comfortable. One important thing to remember, white should not allow exchange more and more pieces, because black is cramped here. So white has to keep these pieces on the board so that white can figure out multiple ideas, try to play on the queen side, try to play on the king side, and that's it. We are going to see the last, which is not very popular, which is queen to t8, and here white's game is very direct. We'll be playing knight f3, we'll be playing bishop to c4, we'll be playing d4, we will go with castle, and then our position plays itself, that bishop f4. Very simple plan. You don't have to memorize the opening, but try to understand the plan. That's very important. So white starts with knight f3. Black has three main options. One is bishop f5, one is knight f6, one is bishop to g4. So we'll be checking. Bishop g4 is not that much good, because we'll immediately hit the bishop with g3. Bishop h5, not a good thing. Yes, obviously black don't want to give up the bishop pair without any compensation. So white is having a very comfortable position from the out of the opening within 6 move. So h3, bishop h5, and white immediately plays g4, bishop g6, h4. White is in a hurry to grab the space on the king side. h5, knight e5, and as we mentioned in the last few lines, whenever we see that the bishop is awkwardly placed on g6, we'll try to expose the bishop position with our knight on e5. So, and black has a problem to solve. Definitely it's not good for black. So here we'll be checking the another side line, which is knight to f6, but we'll be playing bishop c4. Our game is very simple: bishop f5, knight e5, hitting this pawn, e6, queen f3, chasing it, queen this. You cannot take here because simply after d3, bishop is getting trapped after queen e2. So will not be take here. Queen f3, queen c8. Also even the queen, this b7 pawn was also hanging. So it's not an option. But c6 allows a very cute tactics, knight f7, and white is winning a pawn on the spot, and I believe white is technically winning. He's already falling at d4, bishop g5, short castle, the rook is coming to e1, and this is just a dead lost for black. So bishop c4, if bishop g6 will be checking, we'll be checking with bishop, queen f3, queen c8, g4 will immediately hit the bishop. Again, bishop cannot take here on c2 because d3 traps the bishop with queen e2 and it's lost. So bishop g6, d4, bishop e7, bishop g5, and white will follow with queen e2, long castle, f4, h4, h5. White's position and the space advantage. Black is very cramped again. Black will not find a safe haven for his king even if he do castle on the king side. So because white's pawns are marching towards the black king with f4, h4, h5, and the position plays itself. So the main option, just last option left, is bishop f5. We'll be playing bishop c4, e6. Again, knight f6 is not a good option because knight a5, and we'll be transposing to the same thing you have already seen. So bishop c4, e6, stopping this diagonal, and now t4 as white has planned. White is going to develop again castle, bishop f4 plans are there, c6, castle, knight f6, knight h4, and that's a very important idea to remember. Whenever we see we can grab the bishop pair, we will go for it. Okay, we will grab the bishop pair, and white will enjoy the edge of having double bishop advantage. So let's look at it. Knight h4, bishop to g6, knight takes, bishop takes, rook e1, inviting maybe some sort of sacrifices later on. But yes, black can defend definitely. Bishop e7, and important moment here to think is that white is playing, black is having some ideas to play rook h4 maybe to double up and hit this pawn, and white has to find a good way to defend this. Maybe bishop will be on h3, but which we don't like to do because it can be hit with knight g4 and knight e3. So g3, very useful move which stops rook h4 kind of ideas, and even king g2, rook h1, some sort of ideas will be possible in future. Knight b7, and now this diagonal is closed. White is having no option to the diagonal. This is the time to reroute our bishop. We are bringing the bishop to f1. We are looking for the bishop to back to g2. So short castle, a3, stopping bishop b4 kind of annoying pain. Rook e8, black plays. Bishop f4, as we said. Knight d5, knight takes, c takes, or e takes. It doesn't matter actually. We'll be having a very stable game. So e d5, h4, h5 is the plan here clearly, and bishop d3, bishop d6, rook e8, knight e8. Just a sample line I've just given. Bishop e7, bishop d2. Black will try to exchange one of the bishop, but white will definitely try to keep the double bishop on the board. White's long-term plan, king g2, queen f3, rook h1, h5, g4 maybe if black tries to hold on with knight f6. That is usual plan. And even it can go for a4, a5, some queen side. We already have seen this kind of things in the previous variation with queen d6. And here after cd5, now c3, we stabilizes our center, connecting. Even h4 is also possible, but yes, bishop g5, bishop into g5, queen into g5, h4. So if you don't want to exchange one of the bishop pair, you can definitely go with first g4 and then play c3. But here also, even after exchanging the pieces, white is very stable. White enjoys very good initiative, that king g2, rook h1, h5, and white will try to attack on the king side. If you don't want to exchange the piece, you can directly go with h4. That's not a big deal. But yes, you can mate with g5 kind of moves. So it has to be a little bit careful that it is fine, fair enough. They're not going to see any problem. But I like the c3 move, because even after these ideas, bishop d3, I prefer this position to play, because g5 could be made by h5, h6. So that is much more pleasant, that queen can go to g4. And knight is right now not on a very good square. White's position is very simple. White's game is even very simple. White pieces are very active. Even in the end game, I would like to conclude this variation with a very important idea. Even if you just remove all the major pieces from the board, this end game is much more pleasant for white, because of the pawns on the double side and bishop versus knight endgame kind of open position, and this bishop will have an edge over this knight. This is all about this queen d8, queen d6 and knight f6 variation. I hope you like the video, we gained some knowledge. Please let me know in the comment if you want to see some other kind of openings or anything else. If you like the video, please share it with your friends, so that you can your friends can also play this Scandinavian Defense against in some other opponents. And definitely, if you are an e4 player, definitely try this line with in online games, in blitz and rapid, even in the tournament game in the classical format. I hope you will get some good results. And if you are in the first time in this channel, please subscribe my video, it means a lot to me. Thanks a lot guys. Bye bye. See you in the next video.